Steve Robertson, Hail State Insider. On the Out of Bounds show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. The show is driven by the all-new, award-winning Acura MDX at the all-new Acura of Jackson. Mississippi State with a big series win over Oregon State without their ace, JT Ginn. Steve, that was a big series win considering their former first-rounder, JT Ginn, did not go. And they somewhat had to piece it together, but that Friday win was huge for Lamonis in the group.
Oh, it was. And listen, you got to give Oregon State starter Christian Chamberlain, a tip of the cap. I mean, a great performance from him, but the bullpen couldn't hold it. And that's what a good offense will do for you. Eventually you grind it out and you get that guy out of the ball game. And fortunately for State, they had just enough pitching to kind of keep the game manageable before the offense kind of got going. And you're right. I mean, I thought they did a good job piecing it together, and it kind of caught up with them a little bit yesterday. The bullpen got a little bit taxed, and Schimper wasn't quite as sharp as they had hoped. But yeah, I mean, it's a huge win because Oregon State is going to figure it out. I know a lot of people look at their early season record and say, oh, my goodness, this is not the Oregon State team it has been, and that's true. But they're going to be a team that will be in the NCAA tournament.
Steve Robertson, genespage.com, 247 Sports Network on ESPN, 105.9 The Zone, WRKS. I know it's a delicate conversation. I figured there's still no new news, but is there anything on JT Ginn and his status?
Yeah, there's really nothing new. We touched on that yesterday with Chris Lamonis, and he said there really is no update. And I've been told privately it's just something that they're going to work through, and JT's going to have an opportunity to go see some specialists and just kind of know what all of his options are and then make a decision from there. But I think at this point, the best thing for Mississippi State fans to kind of plan on him not being there. And then in the event that, something positive happens, and then maybe you get him back late. But I think at this point, it's just best to kind of plan accordingly and kind of assume he's not going to be available, because I certainly don't expect him to be available this week. And I think eventually we'll probably get some clarity on this. But due to HIP and all that sort of stuff, it's going to be something they're going to take their time with and be very careful with. But, JT and his family working through their medical options at this point, and we'll respect that and look forward to hearing something soon.
How healthy is Tanner Allen?
Yeah, he's a competitor. That's one of those things. He's been wanting to go all weekend, and said he went out there Friday and ran around a little bit. The doctor had told him it was probably going to be a little bit tight because of the cold weather. It was. They bring him in Saturday, get him in at bat, and then he starts on Sunday. He's expected to make the return to the lineup full time now. He's had a chance to get out there and run around, and he just fouled a ball off his knee, and it's had some swelling, and the cold weather hasn't been conducive for playing with that injury. But he'll be good to go, and he's taken all his reps in the cage. He hadn't really missed all that. It's just been kind of running around in the outfield, kind of aggravates the condition some.
We're streaming on YouTube and bowbounds.com and Facebook. Search the Out of Bounds Show. He is Steve Robertson talking Hail State baseball. Any concern? Do you expect the MSU bats to heat up sooner than later?
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. They saw some good pitching over the weekend, and I think it'll be good. I think this week will be good for them in the midweek to kind of get everybody some swings, but also, too, to get some work for some younger pitchers and kind of prepare them for down the stretch because, let's be honest. I mean, nobody expects to lose your Friday night guy, and so as a result, everybody moves up a spot. And there are some younger guys that haven't pitched yet that'll go on Tuesday, Wednesday. But yeah, I'm not worried about the offense because we saw what Jordan Westberg and Tanner Allen and Foscue and those guys did last year. We know what to expect from them. They're going to get going, and Foscue's been incredibly efficient. I think he leads the team in RBIs, and he's got 4 hits. 4 hits. I think 7 RBIs.
Yeah. So, Penn and tell me, this dude is smashing the baseball, doesn't have as much to show for it as you would think, but the baseball gods will eventually, be kind to him. But smash that homer on Friday. Tell me a little bit about him.
Yeah, and he's a guy, too, that really wasn't even expected to be here. If his junior college coach doesn't change jobs, he's still in junior college. That's the only reason that he began to look for some other opportunities just because his coach left, and he was a full qualifier out of high school that had a big freshman year in junior college, and so he was available late, and State adds him. And, you bring him in, you think, okay, this is just a developmental guy. He has a huge fall, is among the top hitters on the team in the fall, and really challenges for that first base position with Josh Hatcher. And then they finally made the decision with about 10 days before the season started to move him to left field just to get his bat in lineup. And then, and he's a guy, again, like you say, he's had some atom balls. He's barreling up some baseballs, and it's just going to be a matter of time. He's a guy that, that they think has a real opportunity to probably hit double-digit home runs.
All right, I want to segue here with you. Steve Robertson, genespage.com, Hail State Insider on ESPN, 105.9 The Zone. There's a lot of frustration in the fan base over basketball. I don't think they're near as talented as everybody has claimed. I've been saying that for months. Maybe I'm wrong. But having said all that, they're going to go to the NIT, it looks like. I don't think you can touch Ben Howland with a 10-foot pole because I just think people overlook the rebuild because of Howland's resume and the 3 Final Fours and so on. Am I right? Am I crazy? Am I wrong? Your thoughts?
Well, I think it's to be determined. I think it's one of those things, the season, I think, has to be viewed in its entirety. I think one of the things that when you look at what's left on the schedule, you got, 2 more road games and then 2 home games against 2 teams that embarrassed you in Alabama and Ole Miss. And then granted, it's a little different on the road for everybody. But there's not a guaranteed win the rest of the way. And so there's also not a game that you look at and say, hey, there's no way they can't win that game. There's 4 winnable games, but at the same time, none of those games by any stretch of the imagination are, a gimme. And so let's say State ends the year, 19-12, and then maybe loses in the second round of the SEC tournament. Then I don't think you can have that same outlook. Now, let's just say, for an example, like a couple of years ago, Ben and them get hot late and become the toughest out in the SEC, and then give Tennessee all they want in the SEC tournament. Then all of a sudden, I think you can feel good about things. But I think it's in many respects, it's kind of like the Joe Moorhead angst. It's not so much as you lose, it's kind of how you lose. And it's like every time that Mississippi State fans kind of get back on the bandwagon, the team kicks them off. And, Buzz Williams is an elite coach.
Heck yeah,
going
he is.
to A&M. You knew they were going to be ready to go. And that's, I think that's the thing you look back and say, you know what, they were 13-12 coming into that game, but still battling for a potential 4th spot in the SEC tournament, and so they have kind of found their groove as of late, and it's a disappointing loss. But I think there are a lot of people right now that just kind of look at Mississippi State men's basketball and that they believe that Mississippi State is underachieving. And even if the talent is not quite as elite as many people suspect it to be, the record at 17-10 is beneath the expectations, and probably that's a fair criticism.
Okay, fair enough. Steve Robertson on the Coors Light guest line. I think A&M is just as talented as MSU. They're just in transition with a coach that hasn't been there long. But anyway, all right. So, and I don't think they're that tough, Steve. And I don't think they're tough on the perimeter. I think if you're going to win in college basketball, you got to be Timmy Bowers, Derek Zimmerman tough. And they're just not tough enough on the perimeter because that's where it all – and trying to drive your offense through the post when everything has to line up and be perfect is really not ideal in the game of basketball. I've got about 30 seconds. Your thoughts on any of that?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, you got to have an inside-outside game, especially to achieve at this day and age in the game. And State is not strong enough offensively on the perimeter, without question.
All right. Thanks, man. We'll do it again soon. Steve Robertson.
See ya.
genespage.com, 247 Sports Network. On the Out of Bounds Show, the show is brought to you by Eye Care Professionals, Dr. Kirk Jeffries, and the crew on Lakeland Drive, just down from Smith Wills and the Lakeland baseball fields. Eye Care Professionals, Dr. Kirk Jeffries, blade-free LASIK and cataract surgery. Eye Care Professionals, Dr. Kirk Jeffries. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. SEC Insider Hit coming up next. We'll hear from none other than Blake Scott.